Okay, good morning. Okay, our topic for today is negotiable instrument. Okay, based on the syllabus, okay, these are the topic in negotiable instrument law. Bali negotiability of instrument, abnormal negotiable instrument, incomplete but delivered instrument, incomplete and undelivered instrument, complete but undelivered instrument, and instrument with forged signature. Now, based on the TOS, we are expecting 4 questions from negotiable instrument law. Now, what are the function of negotiable instrument? Okay, this was asked before in the CPA board exam. The question is that the following are the function of negotiable instrument except letter A, it is a substitute for money. It increases credit circulation. It increases purchasing power in circulation. And last, it's legal tender. Of course, the answer is it's legal tender. Kasi ang negotiable instrument, wala siyang legal tender effect. Okay? In fact, the creditor may rightfully refuse to accept negotiable instrument because these are not legal tender. Now, formal requirements of negotiability in general. To determine whether or not the instrument is negotiable or non-negotiable, the following factors shall be considered. Number 1, the whole of the instrument. Okay, meaning you need to read the entire instrument taken as a whole, not part by part. Kasi possible na yung, okay, when you read the first part of the instrument, negotiable, but when you read the entire instrument, non-negotiable pala. Number 2, only what appears on the face of the instrument daw, okay, shall be considered. Okay, meaning, kung ano lang yung nakikita mo sa face ng instrument, yan lang i-consider natin whether or not the instrument is negotiable or non-negotiable. Kasi pag required na kayo na mag-go beyond sa face ng instrument, the instrument becomes non-negotiable. Example, okay, I promise to pay to the order of X 100,000 pesos on December 1, 2020. Tapos nakalagay subject to, okay, our contract entered into on February 1, 2020. Now, since ang ginamit is subject to, meaning this instrument is subject to this contract, meaning required ka mag-go beyond sa face ng instrument, then the instrument becomes non-negotiable. Pero pag ang ginamit na term is as per contract, by virtue of pursuant to, it will not destroy the negotiable character of the instrument. That is considered a mere statement of a transaction that give rise to the instrument. And last is compliance with requirement under Section 1 of the Act. Okay, kasi ang talagang test natin to determine whether the instrument is negotiable or non-negotiable is compliance with Section 1 of Act 2031. Now, what are the requisites of a negotiable instrument? Okay, an instrument to become negotiable must comply with the following requirement. First, it must be in writing and signed by the maker of the drawer. Second, it must contain unconditional promise or order to pay a sum certain in money. Number 3, it must be payable on demand or at a fixed or determinable future time. Number 4, it must be payable to order or bearer. And last, when the instrument is addressed to a drawee, he must be named or otherwise indicated therein with reasonable certainty. Now, meaning if all these requirements are all present, then the instrument is negotiable. Okay, instrument with limited negotiability. Okay, letter of credit is non-negotiable because these are payable to a specified person. Hindi siya payable to order or bearer. Treasury warrant is non-negotiable because these are payable out of a specific fund or appropriation. Hence, conditional. Therefore, it does not contain unconditional promise or order to pay a sum certain in money. Okay? Conditional siya sa existence of government fund. Postal money order is non-negotiable because these are subject to postal laws and it can be endorsed only once. Bill of lading is non-negotiable because it does not contain unconditional promise or order to pay a sum certain in money because these are payable in goods. Certificate of stock is non-negotiable because it does not contain unconditional promise or order to pay a sum certain in money. Warehouse receipt is non-negotiable because it does not contain unconditional promise or order to pay a sum certain in money. These are deliverable in goods. Kidan is also a warehouse receipt, but particularly you store sugar. And these are non-negotiable because it does not contain unconditional promise or order to pay a sum certain in money. Deliverable din siya in goods. Now account or yung tinatawag na negotiable order of withdrawal. These are non-negotiable because payable yan to a specified person, not payable to order or bearer. Pawn ticket is non-negotiable because it does not represent money but the pawn article. That's why it does not contain unconditional promise or order to pay a sum certain in money. Now, abal is a guarantee for the payment of the draft that were already accepted by the drawee, and these are non-negotiable. Now, what are the common form of negotiable instrument? Okay, number one, promissory note, and second is a bill of exchange. Okay, yung check is a special form of bill of exchange. In fact, under Section 185, a check is a bill of exchange drawn in a bank, always payable on demand. Now, let us define a promissory note. Under Section 184, a promissory note is an unconditional promise in writing made by one person to another, signed by the maker, engaging to pay on demand or at a fixed or determinable future time a sum certain in money to order or to bearer. When a note daw is drawn to the maker's own order, it's not complete until endorsed by him. Now, if you were asked what are the requisites of a negotiable promissory note? First, it must be in writing and signed by the maker. Second, it must contain unconditional promise to pay a sum certain in money. Number three, it must be payable on demand or at a fixed or determinable future time. Number four, it must be payable to order or bearer. Period. Okay, illustration. Okay, August 10, 2019, Manila. I promised to pay to the order of Alfredo Mariano the sum of 10,000 pesos on September 10, 2016 at his house at Makati City, Metro Manila, signed Joven Fe Jesus. Now, August 10, 2019 is the date of the instrument. Okay, Manila is the place of execution. I promise to pay to the order of Alfredo Mariano. Alfredo Mariano is the payee. Sum of 10,000 pesos is the amount expressed in word. 10,000 is the amount expressed in figure. On September 10, 2016, okay, is the date of maturity. At his house at Makati City, Metro Manila is the place of payment. Joven Fe Jesus, okay, is the maker. Okay, there are special form of promissory note. Okay, like certificate of deposit, bond, registered bond, coupon bond, bank note, due bill, chattel mortgage note, real estate mortgage note, title retaining note, collateral note, judgment note. Are these negotiable instrument? The answer is yes if it complies all the requirement under Section 1 of Act 2031. Kasi ang magde-determine whether or not negotiable or non-negotiable siya, yung compliance ng Section 1 of Act 2031. Pero yung registered bond, by nature, are non-negotiable because these are payable to a specified person. Hindi siya payable to order or bearer because the corporation is bound only to pay those person registered in the corporate book. Okay, pero pag coupon bond by nature, these are negotiable because these are payable to bearer. In fact, both the bonds and the coupon can be negotiated by delivery. Okay, kaya paki-check nyo na lang. Okay, Kung na-comply yung requirement ng Section 1 of Act 2031, then these are negotiable. In fact, yung chattel mortgage note, real estate mortgage note, title retaining note, collateral note, judgment note, lahat yan is just a promissory note. Meron lang siyang collateral security. Okay, pero once na-comply lahat ng requirement of Section 1 of Act 2031, then the instrument is negotiable. Now, let us define bill of exchange. A bill of exchange is an conditional order in writing addressed by one person to another, signed by the person giving it, requiring the person to meet its address, to pay on demand, or at a fixed or determinable future time, a sum certain in money, to order, or to bearer. Okay, pag tinanong kayo, what are the requisite of a negotiable bill of exchange? First, it must be in writing and signed by the drawer. Second, it must contain unconditional order to pay a sum certain in money. Number 3, it must be payable on demand or at a fixed or determinable future time. Number 4, it must be payable to order or bearer. And last, when a bill is addressed to a drawee, he must be named or otherwise indicated therein with reasonable certainty. Illustration of bill of exchange. April 10, 2019. Okay, that is the date of the instrument. Manila is the place of execution. For value received, pay to the order of Alfredo de la Cruz. Alfredo de la Cruz is the payee. The sum of 10,000 pesos is the amount expressed in word. 10,000 is the amount expressed in figure. September 10, 2020 is the date of maturity. Okay, house at Makati City, Metro Manila is the place of payment. Joven De Jesus is the drawer. And Carla Riesa is the drawee. Now, other classes of bill of exchange. Okay, bank draft and trade acceptance. Okay, is this negotiable? The answer is yes, if it complies all the requirement under Section 1 of Act 2031. How about check? A check is defined as a check is a bill of exchange drawn in a bank, always payable on demand. Kaya manonotice nyo sa check, dapat okay, always payable on demand, and the drawee is always a bank. Because if the drawee is not a bank, that is not a check, that is a bill of exchange. Okay, special types of check. Memorandum check. Check with the word memorandum, mem or memo is written upon the face of the check, signifying that the drawer engaged to pay the bona fide holder absolutely, and not upon a condition to pay, upon presentment at maturity, and if due notice of presentment and non-payment should be given. Cashier's check are drawn by the cashier of a bank upon the bank itself and deemed accepted by the act of issuance. Manager's check is one drawn by the bank manager upon the bank itself. Pero take note that in a cashier's check and manager's check, the liability of the drawer here is primary. Why? Because the drawer and the drawee are the same person. In fact, under Section 130, when the drawer and the drawee are the same person, the holder may treat the bill of exchange as a promissory note. Kaya dito sa cashier's check and manager's check, ang liability ng drawer ay primary. Kasi ang reason, the drawer and the drawee are the same person. Okay, traveler's check. It is one upon which the holder's signature must appear twice, one to be affixed by him at the time it is issued, and second or counter signature to be affixed by him in the presence of the payee before it's paid. Otherwise, it is incomplete. Okay, sa traveler's check, you would notice na twice mag-appear ang signature ng holder. Okay? Una upon issue, and second upon the presence of the payee. Otherwise daw, incomplete siya. Certified check, one which bears upon its face an agreement by the drawee bank that the check will be paid on presentment. Now take note that under the law, certification by the bank is equivalent to acceptance. Kaya lumalabas, the drawee bank becomes a party primarily liable once okay, it certifies the check. Cross-check one which bears across its face two parallel lines drawn diagonally, usually on the upper left side. Stale check, one which has not been presented for payment within reasonable time after its issue. It is valueless and therefore should not be paid. Pero ang question, what do you mean by reasonable time? Yung reasonable time daw, nakadepende yan sa nature ng instrument. Kaya dapat alamin nyo kung promissory note siya, bill of exchange, or check. Second is the usage ng trade or business with respect to that instrument. And last is the fact of each particular case. Okay, now with respect to check, ang usage ng trade or business is 6 months. Kaya pag hindi present ang check within 6 months from the date of the check, then considered siya as stale. Okay? Kaya magiging stale check siya upon the lapse of 6 months. Pero yun ay usage ng trade or business. Now, what are the requisites of a negotiable instrument? Okay, first, it must be in writing. Okay, and signed, yan ay section 18. By the maker, section 60. Or drawer, section 61. Must contain unconditional promise or order. Okay, that is section 3. Sum certain in money, section 2. Must be payable on demand, section 7. Or at a fixed, no reference, determinable future time, section 4. Payable to order, section 8. Bearer is section 9. And when the instrument is addressed to a drawee, he must be named or otherwise indicated therein with reasonable certainty. That is section 128. Okay, terms when sufficient. The instrument need not follow the language of this act, but any terms are sufficient which clearly indicate an intention to conform to the requirement hereof. In other words, okay, hindi raw tayo required na gamitin yung exact word used by law. Pwede tayong gumamit ng word of similar import. Okay, with equivalent meaning. Tulad ng instead na using I promise to pay, you can use I bind myself to pay. I agree to pay. I will pay. Good to X or order. Due to X or order. I acknowledge to be indebted to X or order. Lahat yan ay equivalent sa unconditional promise to pay. Pero pag ang ginawa ko is due to X lang, non-negotiable. Pero due to X or order, meron siyang word of negotiability, magiging equivalent yan sa unconditional promise to pay. Good to X is non-negotiable, but good to X or order is equivalent to unconditional, promise to pay. I acknowledge to be indebted to X is non-negotiable. By I acknowledge to be indebted to X or order is equivalent to unconditional promise to pay. Instead of using the word demand, you can use the word on call, at site, on presentation, at any time called for. Kasi equivalent yan sa word demand. Instead of using the word bearer, you can use the word holder. Kaya halimbawa, I promise to pay X or holder 10,000 pesos. Equivalent siya sa payable to X or bearer. Okay, let us proceed now sa first requirement under section 1. It must be in writing and signed by the maker or drawer. Okay, signed. Section 18. General rule, no person is liable on the instrument whose signature does not appear thereon. Kaya ang basic rule, pag wala kang signature sa instrument, wala kang liability. Pero meron tayong exception. Number 1, one who signed at a trade name assumed name will be liable to the same extent as if he signed in his own name. Kaya kung gumamit ka ng trade name or assumed name as if nag-sign ka in your own name. Second, the principal is bound by the signature of his duly authorized agent. Okay, pero take note, bago maging liable ang principal not the agent must comply all the requirement under section 20. Okay, and what are the requisites? Number 1, the agent must be duly authorized. Second, the agent must indicate therein that he is signing in a representative capacity. And last, kailangan niyang i-disclose ang principal. If the agent comply all the requirement under section 20, then the principal is liable, not the agent. Incapacitated person was signed through their legal guardians. Forger of signatures. Person whose signature were forged but were precluded from setting up the defense of forgery. Okay, another is constructive acceptance. Like for instance, yung drawee, dinestroy niya yung bill upon presentment for acceptance. that is deemed accepted. Kaya automatic, the drawee becomes acceptor. And therefore, he becomes party primarily liable. Another is endorser who sign on a separate piece of paper known as a launch. Ano nga yung allonge? Ito yung paper attached to the instrument. Kaya ibig sabihin, kahit wala kang signature sa face ng instrument, pero nag-sign ka sa allonge, liable ka pa rin as endorser because the allonge becomes an integral part of the instrument. Another is acceptance by the acceptor in a separate paper, same reason under section 31. Written promise by a person to accept the bill before it is drawn. Yan yung mga exception na even wala kang signature sa face ng instrument, you're still liable. Under section 17, paragraph F, when a signature is so placed upon the instrument that it is not clear in what capacity the person making the same intended to sign, he is to be deemed an endorser. Okay, and under section 63, a person placing a signature upon an instrument otherwise known as a maker, drawer, acceptor is deemed to be an endorser unless he clearly indicate by appropriate word his intention to be bound in some other capacity. In other words, pag ang signature mo pakalat-kalat sa instrument, automatic liable ka sa endorser. In relation to section 63, pag hindi ka nag-sign as maker, drawer, acceptor, automatic you are deemed an endorser unless you clearly indicate by appropriate word your intention to be bound in some other capacity. Okay, second requirement, it must contain unconditional promise or order to pay a sum certain in money. Now, under section 3, unconditional promise. Unqualified order or promise to pay is unconditional within the meaning of this act, though coupled with A, an indication of a particular fund out of which reimbursement is to be made or particular account to be debited with the amount. Okay, take note under paragraph A, pag yung indication ng particular fund ay source ng payment, automatic, non-negotiable siya. Kasi ang sabi dyan dun sa last, di ba? But an order or promise to pay out of particular fund is not unconditional. Pero pag yung indication ng particular fund, hindi siya source ng payment, source lang ng reimbursement or particular account to be debited, it will not affect the negotiable character of the instrument. Illustration. August 1, 2019, I promise to pay to the order of pay the sum of 100,000 payable out of the rental in my apartment. Okay, you would notice na yung indication ng particular fund, yan yung lumalabas na source of payment. Kaya kung walang rental, hindi siya babayaran. Conditional. That's why the instrument becomes non-negotiable. Okay? Okay, next. Okay, punta tayo dito sa another illustration. August 1, 2019. I promise to pay to the order of pay the sum of 100,000 and reimburse yourself out of the rental in my apartment. Yung indication of particular fund, hindi siya source ng payment, but only source of reimbursement or particular account to be debited. It will not affect the negotiable character of the instrument. Kasi kahit walang renta, babayaran pa rin siya. Kasi hindi naman siya source of payment, source of reimbursement lang. Kaya lumalabas, negotiable. Okay, which of the following instrument is non-negotiable? Pay to pure order 20,000 out of by cash in your possession. Lumalabas yung indication ng particular fund, yan ang source of payment. Kaya lumalabas, the instrument becomes non-negotiable. Yung letter B, negotiable siya kasi yung indication ng particular fund, hindi siya source of payment but only source of reimbursement. Yung letter C, I promise to pay pure order 20,000, lahat ng requirement ng promissory note, okay, negotiable promissory note are present. Yung letter D naman, lahat ng requisite ng negotiable bill of exchange are present. Kaya ang sagot, letter A. Yung letter B, a statement of a transaction which gave rise to the instrument. Okay, take note dun sa letter B. Tingnan nyo kung descriptive or restrictive. Pag descriptive, okay, dinidescribe lang niya na itong instrument ay galing dito sa kontratang to. Pero pag restrictive, sinasabi niya itong instrument subject sa kontratang to. Kaya pag ang ginamit class na key term ay subject to restrictive. Etong instrument subject to this contract. It means required kang i-check tong contract para ma-determine whether the instrument is conditional. Okay? Or unconditional. Kaya ang effect, the instrument becomes non-negotiable. Pero pag ang ginamit kong term is as per contract, by virtue of, pursuant to, that is just a statement of a transaction that give rise to the instrument. Therefore, it will not destroy the negotiable character of the instrument. Kasi descriptive lang siya. Sinasabi ko lang, itong instrument nanggaling dito. Pero pag sinabi kong subject to, itong instrument ay subject dito sa kontratang to, nire-required na kita na i-examine yung kontratang to para ma-determine whether or not the instrument is conditional or unconditional. Kaya ang effect, the instrument becomes non-negotiable. Kasi required na kayo na mag-go beyond sa face ng instrument. Okay? Punta naman tayo sa section 2. Certainty as to the sum. Sabi na the sum payable daw is a sum certain within the meaning of this act, although is to be paid, letter A, with interest. Example, okay, January 3, 2020, I promise to pay to the order of X 100,000 on December 1, 2020 with interest of 12% starting February 1, 2020. Signed Y. Okay, is the instrument negotiable? Yes. Kasi by just looking the face of the instrument, okay, malalaman natin kung magkano yung maturity value. Kasi maturity value is equal to principal plus interest. And interest is equal to principal times rate times time. Kasi ang gagawin ko lang dyan, 100,000 times 12%, ang time ko simulang February 1, 2020 hanggang December 1, 2020. Okay, how about yung another illustration? January 5, 2020, I promise to pay to the order of X 100,000 on December 1, 2020 with interest of 12% signed Y. Question, is the instrument negotiable? Yes. Pero ang tanong mo malamang, di ba hindi naka-indicate kailan magko-commence yung computation ng interest? Under the law kasi, okay, pag yung instrument daw, may agreement ng interest but it does not mention when the interest will commence to run. The interest will commence to run from the date of the instrument. Kaya dito, mag-start yung computation ng interest from January 5, 2020 up to December 1, 2020. Okay, a question. Paano kung walang January 5, 2020? Is the instrument non-negotiable? Answer, negotiable pa rin. Kasi ang sabi doon, if the instrument is not dated, then from the issue thereof. Kaya mag-start ang computation ng interest from the date of issue. And what do you mean by issue? Under Section 191, issue means the first delivery of an instrument complete in its form as to constitute the transferee, a holder thereof. Kaya siguradong merong date of issue. Kasi yan yung first delivery of an instrument complete in its form as to constitute the transferee, a holder thereof. Second is by stated installment. Okay, now sa by stated installment, para maging negotiable siya, kailangan ma-comply itong dalawang requirement. Number 1, the amount of each installment payment can be determined. Ibig sabihin, dapat yung amount ng each installment payment is determinable. And number 2, the maturity of each installment payment can be determined. Meaning, yung maturity date ng each installment payment, determinable din. Pag absent yung isa, automatic, non-negotiable siya. Example, August 1, okay, 2017, I promise to pay P or order the sum of 100,000 in 10 equal monthly installments signed M. Is the instrument negotiable? Answer, non-negotiable. Kasi 100,000 divided by 10 is 10,000 per month. Pero ang problema, hindi ko ma-determine yung maturity date ng each installment payment. Kaya since absent yung requirement number 2, then the instrument is non-negotiable. Another illustration. February 1, 2017, I promise to pay P or order the sum of 100,000 in 2 installments as follows. 50,000 on or before August 1, 2017 and 50,000 on or before September 1, 2017. Signed M. Is the instrument negotiable? The answer is yes. Kasi yung amount ng each installment payment is determinable. Pangalawa, yung maturity date ng each installment payment are likewise determinable. Kaya since na-comply yung dalawang requirement, then the instrument is negotiable. Letter C, by stated installment with a provision that upon default in payment of any installment or interest, the whole shall become due. Ito yung tinatawag nating by stated installment with an acceleration clause. Pag sinabing acceleration clause, ito yung agreement between the debtor and creditor na if the debtor failed to pay any installment or the interest, the whole amount becomes due. It will not affect the negotiable character of the instrument. Pero take note, if the acceleration clause is depend upon the holder, the instrument becomes non-negotiable. Sometimes ang tawag dyan is by stated installment with an insecurity clause. Pero pag ang acceleration clause is depend upon the maker, it will not affect the negotiable character of the instrument. Kasi alam pa rin natin kung magkano yung sum payable. Pag may default, ibig sabihin installment. Okay? Pag may default, entire amount. Pero pag walang default, installment. Kaya lumalabas, alam pa rin yung sum payable, okay, kung ang acceleration clause is depend upon the maker. Pero once ang acceleration clause is now depend upon the holder, the instrument becomes non-negotiable. Kasi hindi mo malaman kung kailan siya buo, kailan siya babayaran ng installment. Kasi pag merong insecurity sa part ng holder, buo. Pero pag walang, ibig sabihin kung nagkaroon ng insecurity, nakaramdam ng insecurity itong holder, pwede siyang mag-collect ng entire amount. Okay? Ang tanong, kailan siya magiging insecure? Kaya hindi mo malaman kung kailan magiging insecure yung holder. Kaya ang effect, hindi ko malaman kung buo or installment. Kaya ang effect, the instrument becomes non-negotiable. Another is with exchange, whether at a fixed rate or at current rate. Illustration. August 1, 2019, I promise to pay P or order the sum of $10,000 with exchange at current rate, signed M. In this case, negotiable siya. Okay, kasi by just looking the face of the instrument, $10,000, i-multiply mo lang current exchange rate, you can still determine the sum payable. Kaya it will not affect the negotiable character of the instrument. Letter E, with cost of collection or attorney's fee, in case payment thou shall not be made at maturity. Illustration, August 1, 2019, I promise to pay P or order the sum of 100,000 on or before December 1, 2020 with 10% attorney's fee and cost of collection if not paid on maturity, signed M. These are negotiable. Okay? Kaya kahit meron siyang attorney's fee, okay, cost of collection, okay, or attorney's fee, in case the instrument is not paid at maturity, it will not affect the negotiable character of the instrument. Okay, yung third requirement, it must be payable on demand or at a fixed or determinable future time. Okay, pag payable on demand, Section 7, determinable future time is Section 4. Ang tanong, kailan siya payable on demand? Sabi ng Section 7, okay, 7, when an instrument payable on demand. An instrument is payable on demand, letter A, when expressed to be so payable on demand or at sight or presentation. Example, August 1, 2019, I promise to pay P or order 10,000 on demand. That is payable on demand. Okay, next, at sight, pay to the order of X 10,000 pesos, signed M to Z. Payable on demand rin siya at sight. Or upon presentation, pay to the order of X 10,000 pesos, signed M to Z. That is still payable on demand upon presentation. Bali yan yun, when it's expressed to be payable on demand or at sight or on presentation. And letter B, if no, which no time for payment is expressed. Example, I promise to pay to the order of X 100,000 pesos, signed M. Now, since wala siyang date of maturity, then the instrument is payable on demand. Okay, kailan naman siya payable at determinable future time? Okay, sabi dito, an instrument is payable at determinable future time within the meaning of this act, which is expressed to be payable A, at a fixed period after date or sight. Example, 30 days after date. Kaya kung may date yun, mag-plus ka ng 30 days, that would be the maturity date. Kung 30 days after sight naman, it means magmamature siya 30 days after first presentment for acceptance. Letter B, on or before a fixed or determinable future time is specified therein. Example, I promise to pay to the order of X 100,000 pesos on or before December 1, 2020. And letter C, on or the fixed period after the occurrence of a specified event which is certain to happen, though the time of happening be uncertain. Example, I promise to pay to the order of X 100,000 pesos 30 days after the death of Z. Signed M. Kaya lumalabas magmamature siya 30 days after the death of Z. Kaya pag namatay si Z, mag-plus ka ng 30 days, that would be the maturity date. Pero kung nakalagay doon na 30 days before the death of Z, then the instrument becomes non-negotiable. Kasi ang reason dito, hindi ko alam kung kailan siya mamamatay. Kaya pag namatay, 30 days past due kasi babalik ka ng 30 days. Since hindi ko alam kung kailan mamamatay, babalik ka ng 30 days, hindi mo alam kung kailan to. Kaya ang effect, the instrument becomes non-negotiable. Hindi pwedeng before. It should be after. Kaya nakalagay dyan sa paragraph C, di ba? On or the fixed period after the occurrence of a specified event which is certain to happen, meaning siguradong darating, though the time of happening be uncertain, meaning siguradong darating, ang hindi mo lang alam ay kung kailan. Now, an instrument payable upon contingency is not negotiable, and the happening of the event does not cure the defect. Kasi halimbawa, I promise to pay to the order of X 100,000 pesos if Y pass the CPA board exam, signed M. Ang effect, okay, the instrument is non-negotiable. Kasi merong uncertainty whether the day will come or not. Now, let us assume nakalagay sa problem that Y pass the board exam. Will it cure the defect? No. Non-negotiable pa rin siya. Kasi ang sinasabi nga, okay, an instrument payable upon contingency is not negotiable and the happening of the event does not cure the defect. Kasi since nakalagay sa face ng instrument, merong uncertainty whether the day will come or not, okay, therefore the instrument becomes non-negotiable. Remember, kung ano lang nakikita nyo sa face ng instrument, yan lang i-consider nyo whether or not the instrument is negotiable or non-negotiable. Since sa face ng instrument, merong uncertainty whether the day will come or not, then the instrument becomes non-negotiable. Now, let us proceed now sa requirement number 4. It must be payable to order or to bearer. Now, kailan siya payable to order? Sasagutin ng Section 8. Kailan siya payable to bearer? Sasagutin ng Section 9. Sabi ng Section 8, the instrument is payable to order when it's drawn payable to the order of a specified person or to him or his order. It may be drawn payable to the order of. Okay? Kaya dalawang paraan lang para maging payable to order. Either payable to X order or payable to the order of X. Kailangan, pag payable to order, merong name payee. Kaya nga doon sa last paragraph, di ba sabi dyan, when an instrument is payable to the order, the payee must be named or otherwise indicated therein with reasonable certainty. Kasi pag walang name payee, no one can endorse the instrument. Kaya malamang, okay, yan ay payable to bearer or possible na non-negotiable instrument siya. Illustration, a payee is not a maker. Okay? August 10, 2019, Manila. I promise to pay to the order of Alfredo Mariano the sum of 10,000 pesos on September 10, 2019. Signed, Joven De Jesus. Lumalabas ang payee is Alfredo Mariano. Ang maker is Joven De Jesus. The payee is not the maker. Second, a payee is not a drawer or drawee. Illustration. August 10, 2019, Manila. Pay to the order of Alfredo Mariano the sum of 10,000 pesos on September 10, 2019. Signed, Joven De Jesus to Vladimir Tejada. Ang payee si Alfredo Mariano. Ang drawer si Joven De Jesus. The payee is not a drawer. Okay, to Vladimir Tejada, drawee. Ang payee Alfredo Mariano. The payee is not the drawee. Okay? Okay, next, the drawer or maker daw. Unahin natin yung maker. August 10, 2019, Manila. I promise to pay to the order of Alfredo Mariano the sum of 10,000 pesos on September 10, 2019. Signed, Alfredo Mariano. Okay, manonotice nyo, ang payee si Alfredo Mariano, ang maker si Alfredo Mariano. The payee is the maker. Okay, next, drawer. August 10, 2019, Manila. Pay to the order of Alfredo Mariano the sum of 10,000 pesos on September 10, 2019. Signed, Alfredo Mariano to Vladimir Tejada. Okay, the payee, Alfredo Mariano, is the drawer. Okay? Another, letter C, the drawee. Pay to the order of Vladimir Tejada the sum of 10,000 pesos on September 10, 2019. Signed, Alfredo Mariano to Vladimir Tejada. The payee, Vladimir Tejada, is the drawee. Meaning, the payee is the drawee. Letter D, two or more payees jointly. Example, August 10, 2016, Manila. I promise to pay to the order of A, B, and C the sum of 10,000 pesos on September 10, 2016. Signed X. Okay, A, B, and C are joint payees. That is paragraph letter D. Paragraph letter E. One or some of several payees. I promise to pay to the order of A, B, or C the sum of 10,000 pesos on September 10, 2019. Signed X. Okay, lumalabas. Okay, these are one or some of several payees. Okay, paragraph letter E. Paragraph F. The holder of an office for the time being. Illustration. August 10, 2019, Manila. I promise to pay to the order of the cashier of PRTC the sum of 10,000 pesos on September 10, 2019, signed X. Okay, lumalabas yung, okay, ano to, ang payee natin is a holder of an office for the time being. Cashier of PRTC. Okay, holder of an office for the time being. Okay, pero hindi siya payable sa cashier mismo. Actually, payable siya doon sa corporation. And therefore, it can be negotiated only by those persons registered, okay, authorized in the, okay, corporate bylaws. Okay? And last, when an instrument, let's go back. Let's go back to payable to bearer naman. Now, kailan naman siya payable to bearer? Sabi dyan, the instrument is payable to bearer, A, when expressed to be so payable. Example, I promise to pay the bearer 10,000 pesos. B, when it's payable to a person named therein or bearer. Example, I promise to pay X or bearer 10,000. Pero pag nakalagay doon na I promise to pay bearer X, I promise to pay the bearer X 10,000 pesos, the instrument becomes non-negotiable. Kasi payable siya to a specified person. Kasi yung word bearer dito is just a descriptive personae of X. Letter C, when it's payable to the order of a fictitious or non-existing person, and such fact was known to the person making it so payable. Example, I promise to pay to the order of Batman. I promise to pay to the order of Superman. Now, Superman, saka si Batman, are fictitious or non-existing person. Since alam mo na ito ay fictitious or non-existing person, no one can endorse the instrument. Kaya ang effect, okay, payable to bearer. Kasi ang intention dito is to make it negotiable by delivery. Letter D, when the name of the payee does not purport to the name of any person. Okay, example, I promise to pay to the order of cash. I promise to pay to the order of sundry account. I promise to pay to the order of laptop computer. Okay, yung lumalabas na cash, sundry account, laptop computer, hindi yan pangalan ng tao. Kaya ang intention dito is to make it negotiable by delivery because no one can endorse the instrument. And last, when the only or last endorsement daw is an endorsement in blank. By the way, pag ang instrument ay originally payable to order at ang last endorsement ay blank, mako-convert ang order okay into a bearer instrument. Kaya negotiable na siya by delivery. Pero pag ang instrument ay originally payable to bearer, a bearer instrument is always a bearer instrument. By the way, manonotice nyo nga pala dito sa section 9, dalawa lang ang payable to bearer sa face ng instrument. Only paragraph A and B. Kasi yung paragraph C, D, E, lahat yan payable to order sa face ng instrument. But actually, these are bearer instrument. Tulad ng paragraph letter C, I promise to pay to the order of Superman. Yung letter D naman ay promise to pay to the order of sundry account. Yung letter E talagang payable to order yan. However, since ang last endorsement ay blank, mako-convert lang ang order into a bearer instrument. Kaya only paragraph A and B are payable to bearer on the face of the instrument. And the last requirement under section 1, when an instrument is addressed to a drawee, he must be named or otherwise indicated therein with reasonable certainty. Mag-cross-refer kayo sa section 128. A bill may be addressed to two or more drawees jointly, whether they are partners or not, but not to two or more drawees in the alternative or in succession. Kaya ibig sabihin, pag ang address ko na drawee ay naka-alternative or successive, the instrument becomes non-negotiable. Example, to A or B, non-negotiable kasi alternative drawees yan. Or to A or in his absence B, non-negotiable because yung drawees ay naka-successive. Pero kung in-address ko kay to A and B, negotiable kasi joint drawees siya. Pag joint drawees, allowed. Like another example to A, B, C, D, and E. Pero may requirement na pag may two or more joint drawees, you need to make presentment for acceptance to all of them. Kasi pag halimbawa, in-accept ni A, ni B, ni C, ni D, but not ni E. Ang tawag dyan, qualified acceptance. Okay? At ang general rule, ang holder entitled for a general acceptance. Kasi kung hindi niya ma-obtain ang general acceptance, pwede pa rin niya itong i-treat as dishonored bill. Now, let us summarize. Okay, yung requisite ng negotiable promissory note, bill of exchange, saka check. Manonotice nyo sa promissory note, signed by maker. Bill of exchange, signed by drawer. Check, signed by the drawer. Okay, promissory note, okay, unconditional promise. Bill of exchange saka check, unconditional order. Next, sa promissory note, payable on demand, fixed determinable future time. Bill of exchange, demand, fixed determinable future time. Pero pag check, always payable on demand siya. Okay, and na another is must be payable to order or bearer. Mananotice nyo sa promissory note, bill of exchange saka check, isa lang ang common denominator. Yung requirement letter D lang ng section 1. Pero the rest, magkakaiba silang lahat. Tulad ng promissory note, yung paragraph E ng section 1 wala na because there is no drawee in a promissory note. Pero sa bill of exchange, meron. When the instrument is addressed to a drawee, he must be named or otherwise indicated therein with reasonable certainty. Sa check naman, i-modify mo lang. When the instrument is addressed to a bank, kailangan pag-check, the drawee is always a bank. Because if the drawee is not a bank, that is not a check, that is a bill of exchange. Now, let us proceed now sa section 5 and 6. Yung section 5 are addition, section 6 are omission. Yung section 5, mga additional provision that will not affect the negotiable character of the instrument. Ito naman section 6, mga omission na it will not affect the negotiable character of the instrument. Unahin natin yung section 5. An instrument which contain an order or promise to do an act in addition to the payment of money is not negotiable. Kaya pag ang nakita nyong ginamit na conjunction ay and, automatic non-negotiable yan. Kasi that is an order or promise to do an act in addition to the payment of money, not negotiable. Pero pag ang ginamit na conjunction ay or, at ang may option ay holder, negotiable siya under paragraph D. Bali, gives the holder an election to require something to be done in lieu of payment of money. Illustration. August 10, 2016, Manila. I promise to pay to the order of Alfredo Mariano the sum of 10,000 pesos and 10 sacks of rice. Since ang ginamit ditong conjunction ay and, automatic non-negotiable siya. Because that is an order or promise to do an act in addition to the payment of money, non-negotiable. Kasi ang reason yung 10,000 pesos, pwede siyang i-negotiate, pero yung 10 sacks of rice, it cannot be negotiated, it can only be assigned. Pero since these are indivisible, ang effect, the entire instrument becomes non-negotiable. Okay, second illustration. August 10, 2016, Manila. I promise to pay to the order of Alfredo Mariano the sum of 10,000 pesos or 10 sacks of rice at the holder's option. Now, since ang ginamit na conjunction ay or, at ang may option ay holder, negotiable. Kasi ang reason dito, pwedeng i-disregard ng holder yung 10 sacks of rice, kaya payable pa rin siya in a sum certain in money. Okay, let us modify. I promise to pay to the order of Alfredo Mariano the sum of 10,000 pesos or 10 sacks of rice at your option. Signed, Juan Carlos. Ang tanong, is the instrument negotiable? Sabi ko nga, pag ginamit na conjunction ay or at ang option ay holder, negotiable. I promise to pay at your option. Sabi ng maker, I promise to pay at your option. Option ni Alfredo Mariano yan. Okay, subsequently, okay, mapupunta sa holder. Kaya option ng holder. Kaya ang effect, negotiable pa rin. Okay, modify ulit natin. August 10, 2016, Manila. I promise to pay to the order of Alfredo Mariano the sum of 10,000 pesos or 10 sacks of rice at my option. Signed, Juan Carlos. Sabi dito, I promise to pay at my option. Bali, lumalabas option ng maker. Kaya since ang option is nasa maker, non-negotiable. Kasi pwedeng piliin dito ng maker yung 10 sacks of rice. Kaya hindi na siya payable in a sum certain in money. Another illustration. August 10, 2016, Manila. I promise to pay to the order of Alfredo Mariano the sum of 10,000 pesos or 10 sacks of rice. Signed, Juan Carlos. Okay, dito walang naka-indicate kung kanino yung option. Ang tanong, is the instrument negotiable or non-negotiable? Answer, non-negotiable. Bakit siya non-negotiable? Because ang option ay nasa maker. Why? Because walang naka-indicate kung na kanino yung option. Now, since walang provision sa negotiable instrument law regarding alternative obligation, okay, then pwede tayo mag-cross-refer sa Article 1200 ng Civil Code. And under 1200 ng Civil Code, in alternative obligation, the right of choice belongs to the debtor unless expressly granted to the creditor. Okay, now sino ba ang debtor in a promissory note? Answer, edi yung maker. Kaya since ang option nasa maker, then the instrument is non-negotiable. Kaya pwedeng piliin ng maker yung 10 sacks of rice. Kaya hindi na siya payable in a sum certain in money. Another illustration. August 10, 2016, Manila. Pay to the order of Alfredo Mariano the sum of 10,000 pesos or 10 sacks of rice at your option. Signed, Juan Carlos to Joseph Marcos. Is the instrument negotiable? The answer is none. Bakit non-negotiable? Nakalagay at your option. Okay, ang reason dito, class, this is a bill of exchange. Kasi ang bill of exchange naka-address sa drawing. Kaya kung sinabi ko, at your option, option ni Joseph Marcos. And Joseph Marcos later on becomes the acceptor. Kaya pwede nang piliin yung 10 sacks of rice, kaya hindi na siya payable in a sum certain in money. Kaya lumalabas, the instrument becomes non-negotiable. Problem. A writes a promissory note in favor of his creditor, B. It says, subject to my option, I promise to pay B, 1 million, or his order, or give 1 million worth of cement, or to authorize him to sell my house worth 1 million. Sign A. Is the note negotiable? The answer is A. No, because the exercise of the option to pay lies with A, the maker and debtor. Kasi di ba sabi dyan, subject to my option. Option ng maker yan. Okay, since ang option nasa maker, the instrument is non-negotiable. Kasi para maging negotiable siya, dapat ang conjunction ay or, at pangalawa, ang option ay nasa holder. The moment na ang option is other than the holder, automatic the instrument becomes non-negotiable. Another illustration. Okay, B borrowed 1 million from L and offered to him his BMW car worth 1 million as collateral. B then executed a promissory note that reads, B promised to pay L or bearer the amount of 1 million and to keep my BMW car loan collateral free from any other encumbrance. Sign B. Is this note negotiable? The answer is no. No, since it contained a promise to do an act in addition to the payment of money. Now, since merong nakalagay dyan ang conjunction na ginamit natin, okay, ay end na. Okay, di ba nakalagay dyan, di ba? I promise to pay L or bearer the amount of 1 million and. Okay, pag may end na, that is an order or promise to do an act in addition to the payment of money, non-negotiable. Now, let us proceed now sa rules on date. Okay, the validity and negotiable character of an instrument are not affected by the fact that letter A is not dated. Kaya alam mo, yung illustration dito sa baba, wala siyang nakalagay na date. Okay, ang mag-a-apply section 6 in relation to section 17 paragraph 6. Sabi ng section 17 paragraph C, if the instrument is not dated, it will be considered to be dated as of the time it was issued. Kaya kung walang date dyan, ang rule, date of issue. Another illustration. When the instrument or acceptance or any endorsement therein is dated, such date is deemed prima facie to be the true date of the making, drawing, acceptance, or endorsement as a case may be. Tulad nito, yung instrument may nakalagay na date April 9, 2020. Okay? Lumalabas, that is presumed to be the true and correct date. Kaya tandaan nyo, pag merong date yung promissory note, may date yung okay, bill of exchange, may date yung acceptance, may date yung endorsement. Ang presumption, that date is presumed to be the true date of the making, drawing, acceptance, or endorsement as the case may be. Okay, let us proceed now sa section 12. Let us assume class today is April 9. Pero ang ginawa mong date is April 1. Ang tawag dyan is antedated. Kung April 9 today, tapos ginawa kong date is April 30, we call it post-dated. Ang mag-a-apply, pag may antedating or post-dating, section 12 yan. Sabi ng batas, the instrument is not invalid for the reason only that is antedated or post-dated, provided this is not done for an illegal or fraudulent purpose. Okay, the person to one instrument so dated is delivered acquires the title thereto as of the date of delivery. Okay, another rule, okay, paano ko nakalagay is 30 days after date o kaya 30 days after sight. Eh, kung 30 days after date tapos walang date yung instrument, hindi siya magmamature. Kung 30 days after sight, walang date yung acceptance. Okay, hindi siya magmamature. Kaya mag-a-apply section 13. Sinasabi ng batas dito, when an instrument expressed to be payable at a fixed period after date is issued undated, or when an acceptance of an instrument payable at a fixed period after sight is undated, sabi ng batas, any holder may insert therein the true date of issue or acceptance. Kaya ibig sabihin, authorized dito yung any holder na mag-insert ng date ng instrument or date ng acceptance para ma-fix yung maturity date. Pero sabi ng batas, the insertion of a wrong date does not avoid the instrument in the hands of a subsequent holder in due course, but as to him, the date so inserted is to be regarded as the true date. Kaya ibig sabihin, ina-emphasize lang na yung insertion ng wrong date is a matter of a personal defense. It cannot be set up against a holder in due course. Another is material alteration under section 124. Sabi dyan, any alteration daw which changes letter A, the date. Kaya once na binago niyo yung date, that constitute material alteration under section 124. Let us proceed now sa section 17. Okay, under the law kasi, ang sabi dyan sa section 17, when the word used in the instrument is ambiguous daw, or subject to different interpretation, the following rules of construction shall apply. Okay, number 1, when the sum payable expressed in word and also in figure, and there is discrepancy between the two. The sum denoted by the word is the sum payable. But if the word is ambiguous or uncertain, reference may be made to the figure to fix the amount. Kaya pag merong discrepancy dun sa amount expressed in word sa amount expressed in figure, mag-prevail yung word than the figure. Kasi ang reason, yung figure, madali siyang ma-altered. Pero pag yung amount expressed in word daw ambiguous, pwede kang mag-refer sa figure. Example, okay, X issued a check in favor of his creditor, Y. It reads pay to Y the amount of 7,100 pesos, tapos 700,000, signed X. What amount should be construed as true in such a case? Answer is A. Kasi ang reason dito, yung amount expressed in word ambiguous, kaya pwede kang mag-refer sa figure. Pero tandaan nyo, pag clear yung amount expressed in word, mag-prevail ang word than the figure. Yung number 2, when the instrument provides for the payment of interest without specifying the date from which interest is to run, the interest run from the date of the instrument. And if the instrument is undated daw from the issue thereof. Number 3, when the instrument is not dated, it will be considered to be dated as of the time it was issued. Number 4, when there is a conflict between the written and printed provision of the instrument, the written provision prevails. Kasi ang reason dito, mag-prevail yung written than print because what is written is the manifest intention of the party. Number 5, when the instrument is so ambiguous that there is doubt whether it's a bill or a note, the holder may treat it as either at his election. Pero by the way, when you read section 17 paragraph number 5, you need to read together with section 130. Kasi meron tatlong instances sa section 130, okay, wherein the holder may treat the bill of exchange as promissory note at his option. Una, when the drawer and the drawee are the same person, when the drawee are fictitious person, or when the drawee has no capacity to contract. Okay, problem. If the drawer and the drawee are the same person, the holder may present the instrument for payment without need of previous presentment for acceptance. In such case, the holder treat it as letter B, promissory note. Why? Okay, kasi hindi na raw kailangan ng presentment for acceptance. Kaya treat it siya as promissory note. Kasi pag promissory note, hindi kailangan ng presentment for acceptance. Okay, kasi nga yung drawer and drawee are the same person. Okay, illustration. August 10, 2016, Manila. I promise to pay to the order of Alfredo Mariano the sum of 10,000 pesos. Signed, Juan Carlos. To Carlos Agata. Question, is the instrument clear? Answer, no. Ambiguous siya. Bakit siya ambiguous? Kasi nag-promise to pay, tapos merong drawee. Kaya di ko malaman kung promissory note or bill of exchange siya. Kaya dito, mayroong option si Alfredo Mariano na i-present kay Juan Carlos o kay Carlos Agata. If Alfredo Mariano present it to Juan Carlos, treat niya to as promissory note. If Alfredo Mariano present it to Carlos Agata, treat niya to as bill of exchange. Now take note, if Alfredo Mariano present to Juan Carlos, the liability of Juan Carlos is primary kasi maker siya. Pero pag present ni Alfredo Mariano yung instrument kay Carlos Agata, ang liability ni Carlos Agata, pag inaccept niya, primary. Si Juan Carlos, secondary na lang. Kasi lumalabas, drawer lang siya. Trinit niya to as bill of exchange. Kaya manonotice nyo, nag-iba ang liability ng ni Juan Carlos. Primary siya, pag trinit as promissory note, magiging secondary siya pag trinit ito as bill of exchange. Another illustration, August 10, 2016, Manila. Pay to the order of Alfredo Mariano the sum of 10,000 pesos, signed Juan Carlos to Juan Carlos. Okay, mapapansin mo, yung drawer sa drawee, same person. Kaya pwede siyang i-treat as a promissory note. Kaya ang liability ni Juan Carlos dito, primary. Kaya nga sabi ko sa inyo kanina, doon sa cashier's check and manager's check, ang liability ng drawer, primary, because the drawer and the drawee are the same person. Another illustration, August 10, 2016, Manila. Pay to the order of Alfredo Mariano the sum of 10,000 pesos, signed Juan Carlos to Carlos Agata. Ang problema, si Carlos Agata pala non-existing. Of course, Alfredo Mariano cannot make a presentment for acceptance to Carlos Agata because Carlos Agata is a non-existing person. In that case, pwede niya itong i-treat as promissory note, kaya si Juan Carlos becomes maker, primary, liability. Another illustration, August 10, 2016, Manila. Pay to the order of Alfredo Mariano the sum of 10,000 pesos, signed Juan Carlos to Carlos Agata. Ang problema, si Carlos Agata, existing nga, pero incapacitated kunwari. 3 years old pa lang pala. In that case, okay, pwede pa rin siyang i-treat as promissory note. Kasi yung drawee ay incapacitated. Kaya tandaan niyo yung section 130, when the drawer and the drawee are the same person, when the drawee are fictitious person, when the drawee has no capacity to contract, the holder may treat the bill of exchange as a promissory note. Okay, another section 17, number 6. When a signature is so placed nga upon the instrument that is not clear in what capacity the person making the same intended to sign, he is to be deemed an endorser. Okay, and section 63, A person placing a signature upon an instrument otherwise known as a maker, drawer, acceptor is deemed to be an endorser unless he clearly indicates by appropriate word his intention to be bound in some other capacity. Kaya tandaan nyo, pag pakalat-kalat ang signature nyo sa instrument, automatic isa kang endorser. And under Section 63, kung nag-sign ka ng instrument, hindi ka raw maker, drawer, acceptor, automatic you are deemed an endorser unless you clearly indicate by appropriate word your intention to be bound in some other capacity. And number 7, when an instrument containing the word I promise to pay, signed by 2 or more persons, they are deemed to be jointly and severally liable thereon. Meaning, ang liability, solidary. Kaya pag nag-start ng I promise to pay signed by ABC, ABC are solidary liable. Pero kung nag-start ng we promise to pay signed by ABC, then the liability is on the joint. Okay, let us proceed now sa signature by agent. Section 19 and Section 20. Sabi dyan, the signature of any party may be made by a duly authorized agent. Okay, meaning yung signature ng maker, drawer, acceptor, endorser, pwede nga mag-sign in their behalf yung duly authorized agent. Sabi dyan, no particular form of appointment is necessary for this purpose, and the authority of the agent may be established as in any other cases of agency. Kaya ibig sabihin, pwedeng ma-prove yung authority like in any other form of agency. Remember, agency is a consensual contract. Okay, under Section 20, ito yung tatlong requisite para ma-exempt ang agent sa personal liability at ang maging liable, principal. Sabi ng Section 20, when the instrument contains or a person add to his signature words indicating that he signed for on behalf of the principal or in a representative capacity, he is not liable on the instrument if he was duly authorized. But the mere addition of words describing him as an agent or filling a representative character without disclosing his principal does not exempt him from personal liability. Kaya ito yung tatlong requisite para ma-exempt ang agent sa personal liability. Number 1, the agent must be duly authorized. Second, he must sign for in behalf of the principal. And last, he must disclose his principal. Pag na-comply ng agent yung tatlong requirement ng Section 20, ang liable dito, principal, not the agent. Example. Halimbawa, nag-sign siya as Rico Mambo president. Is Rico Mambo liable? I-test natin yung requirement. First, okay, is Rico Mambo duly authorized? I-assume na lang natin na yes. Kasi pwedeng ma-prove yung authority like in any other form of agency. Second, did he indicate that he is signing in a representative capacity? Yes, as president. Ang problema, absent yung pangatlo. Hindi niya dinisclose yung principal. President ng ano to. Kaya lumalabas, Rico Mambo is personally liable. Hindi yan good signature ng agent. Okay, another, nag-sign siya, Rico Mambo, president of SMC Corporation. Okay, na-comply ba yung tatlong requirement? I-test ulit natin. Number 1, is Rico Mambo duly authorized? I-assume na lang natin yes. Second, did he indicate that he's signing in a representative capacity? Okay, yes, as president. Dinisclose ba niya yung principal? Yes, SMC Corporation. Kaya ang liable dito, si SMC Corporation, not Rico Mambo. Kasi na-comply ng agent lahat ng requirement under Section 20. Next, Rico Mambo for Carlos C. Okay, sinong liable dito? Si Rico Mambo or Carlos C? I-test ulit natin. Number 1, is Rico Mambo duly authorized? I-assume na lang natin na yes. Second, did he indicate that he's signing in a representative capacity? Yes, nag-for siya. Dinisclose ba niya yung principal? Yes, Carlos C. Kaya ang liable dito si Carlos C, not Rico Mambo. Kasi na-comply lahat ng requirement ng section 20. Let us proceed now signature by procuration. Ito laging natanong sa bar exam before. Sabi niya na signature by procuration operate as a notice that the agent has but a limited authority to sign. And the principal daw is bound only in case the agent in so signing acted within the actual limit of his authority. Okay, example, naglagay ka ng per procuration, per proc, PP, or PP. Okay? Kaya ibig sabihin, pag may nakita ka sa instrument na word per procuration, per proc, warning sa lahat yan na yung agent has a limited authority to sign. At yung principal daw, magiging liable lang if the agent in so signing the instrument is acting within the scope of his authority. Pero take note, required lang kayong i-examine yung face ng instrument kasi hindi kayo required na mag-go beyond the face of the instrument. Problem. Under the negotiable instrument law, a signature by procuration operates as a notice that the agent has but a limited authority to sign. Thus, a person who takes a bill that is drawn, accepted, and endorsed by procuration is duty-bound to inquire into the extent of the agent authority by letter B, examining the bill to determine the extent of such authority. Kasi nga hindi kayo required na mag-go beyond sa face ng instrument. Just look the face of the instrument, okay, para ma-determine ano ba ang extent ng authority ng agent. Okay, stop ko muna dito. Okay, gagawa ko ng part 2.